Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And for the church, I hope everybody is fine and everything is okay and fine with us. Even if there's a challenge, it's part of life, we're going to overcome it. What we are hoping and wishing and asking from the Supreme Being, the Mother of Universe, the Creator, the Source of Life, is strength, health, and long life. If these things are there, any other thing can be achieved. And therefore, the church na get the you discussing the third and the last Abrahamic faith. Abrahamic faith I try to no na ye discuss no na ye ka ho asem no na ye pensem. Christianity there what to be me so makabi still a war page no so you can revisit it. Wey na eye ade a third one the last one no na eye ade a ewo top no enye eno na ehye fam. You should know this. Islam, the surface of Islam, what you see is not what is beneath the religion. So we want to learn, we want to know. We are flipping the other side of the coin. When the reality of life is uncovered, change is a must. Yesterday, now you're discussing books that in the previous video, and I can say there is no way over to me I started to look for biography of Prophet Muhammad in the Quran, baby. And then we started talking about we talked about hadith, the prophetic narration, which is known as tradition, and then we talked about Seerah, that is the biography of Prophet Muhammad. And then, baby, ayade konye. One of the biggest problems are Islamic sources enemy near edikan a language problem. That is one. Language problem. And or how Islamic source and kanka the Seerah books. Now, when we are talking about the Seerah books, and now when we are talking about the source, the biography of Prophet Muhammad, we are talking about the old books, the oldest books. Seerah no ninam yensem ewo market aye common obia to meeting in Sato so anybody can lay hands on. There's nothing there. Though some of these books have some things, but there's nothing there. There's nothing much. Anyhow. So we are talking about the source, the original, the beginning, the oldest Seerah books concerning Prophet Muhammad. This is the whole thing. Documentation is biggest problem in Islamic history. Documentation. Say yachro adiatu one of the biggest in Islamic religion. Documentation is the biggest problem in Islamic religion. Islam bibia ni ho aya documenting at the early age of the religion. No, bibia ni ho aya chro ye ewo Islam time mrana Prophet Muhammad wo ade bia Islamic source bia ni ho aya chro when Prophet Muhammad was alive. There was no documentation of anything about Islam when the man himself, the founder, or the one who brought the religion was alive. Ba rubuta komai ba bin da aka rubuta gaban manzon Allah. Ba gaskiya bane. Ba bin da aka rubuta ya starting all the way from Seerah, starting all the way to Hadith, that the tradition, prophetic tradition, all the way to Quran, documentation. I'm talking documentation. Membam bekase man kase yang chumi see documentation. Yang documenti bibia ba na ko ba. Now, the first Seerah ye churo ye first book of Seerah that was written about the biography of Prophet Muhammad was written after the death of Prophet Muhammad 100 years and more. Yes. And first the first book that is written, the first book that documents the life, the biography of Prophet Muhammad was written 100 years after the life. Now listen to this. Most of these people who has idea about what he did, how he lived, and whatever, most of them were dead. 100 years, that is 10 decades, 1 century, and it's even more. So the first documentation of Islamic source came into existence 100 years after the death of the Prophet of Islam, who is Prophet Muhammad. 100 years. 100 years. Shekara da bayan shekara dari tukuna aka rubuta littafin siran farko waɗanda suka yi nan suka ga abin da ya faru suka rikodin cikin kansu nan da yawa sun mutu. So how did you preserve the information within that 100 years? 1 century, who preserve it? Adeɛ bi a ɛyɛ mesere ɛne nie. When I went to Revelations to do program with Mami Grace, the African goddess, me a program now, me and Amika said the first 100 years of Islam is missing. And I quite be now was on who I say or no barbarian acted to the Amika, You see, I'm ready for anything. I'm ready for criticism. I'm ready for replies. I'm ready for reactions and even proper intellectual and sane debate. Debate with sanity. Debate with sane. Debate with respect. Debate with intellectualism. You don't insult me first and come back to debate me. What do you mean? What do you take me for? Checking the videos, checking programs. Do I look like Obi Awoye Dam? Do I look like someone that does not know what he's saying? No. Jack Kaduba videos una de kel. Shin o de me o de asem. You can't go on camera on you, insult me, and come back to debate me. No, me yes, sir. Anybody who want to debate me, and you've insulted me before, and I know all of you, I will tell you to go and on camera, put it on yourself, and revert the insult. When you are able to do that for the whole world to see on social media, I'm ready to debate you. To me, but the matter now can't over debate me. Okay, say me Jimmy sa share me videos na share. Yet discuss here intellectually. Who to hold in conversation? Ojalabia amwa. What was the last time I watched Ojalabia? We don't want to put emotions in it. Let's go back to our topic. Odemia Odiasem, first 100 years of documentation, first 100 years of Islam is missing. The first Seerah book that is written was written after 100 years and even above. Screen soon live program concerning distance. So it is there. And no anymore. Now, before the 100 years, the prophetic narration, the hadith, the seerah, the biography, how do they handle this? No opportunity say anansisem. Omuya niti say anansisem. Si nanako enu binana omuye. All the Islamic stories, all the Islamic narrations, all the tradition, everything. No opportunity say anansisem omunchrofi. They will just sit and gather people and they will be saying it orally to them. So the 100 years now, that period in no to say anansisem. Answer na yeba documenting to say anansisem no more. 70% of them were dead. And most of them, among who natural death, they died by killing. After Prophet Muhammad, Islam has never known peace up to date. What are you telling me? Where is Allah? Where Muslims were killing themselves. In Samuba, we are not saying stop your salah. When you stop the salah, I'm not gonna go nothing. You wanna like because nothing. Nkabar salah meden samu. Nkabar salah na samu abici. Da kake sallah na samu abici. Duba rayuwanka ka gani sallah ya ma wani abu. Mai sallah ya kulla ma. Barin baka misali. Aka ce lailatul qadr. Dare guda in muka dace da daren komai mu ya yi daidai mu bukatan mu ya biya. Shekara nawa kai lailatul qadr? Don shi wadanga shekarun ga duka baka dace da lailatul qadr dare guda balle bukatan kai biya ba. Itunani. This is what I'm talking about. Lailatul qadr, you see one night, the night of power, where you are able to meet that night, your everything will be perfect. How many years did you spend doing Lailatul Qadr? So you didn't meet that power to fix your life. Look at our community. We are not fighting anybody. We are telling you to recheck what you belong to. Now, first 100 years, first 100 years of Islam, you're trophy. Suna yin shi kaman almara, suna yin shi kaman tasuniya, suna yin shi kaman gatana. They didn't write nothing. They got nothing to be documented. They are just saying it, blah, 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 blah. Sana omuyenu, first 100 years and above. Sana omuyenu. One of the people who are good in this are the people known, one student of Prophet Muhammad, one of the youngest students of Prophet Muhammad, who is known as Abdullah ibn Abbas. Abdullah ibn Abbas is one of the youngest disciples who is known of narrating the life of Prophet Muhammad for Muslims before the 100 years documentation. The second person is Abdullah ibn Umar, the second caliph's son, who is known as Abdullah ibn Umar. Omu kami, omu narrati abienu, orally, verbally, and omu narrati edima nkrofo, omu tunitisa anantisem, anajuno macho omu mweshia, ewa masalachi, na ye di nkomu, na ye narrati. Ni oto sumenu, abranti ebi aifranu Barabun Azib. Onu noto sumenu a omu narrati omu tunitisa anansisem suna yin shi kaman gatana almarata suniya haka suke yin shi like once upon a time na yeti wana yaki kan stories sa na omu yenu until 100 years and above and sa na yechro book. Okay, when I went to say on Revelations, our discussion with Queen Hadasha, when I said first 100 years of Islam is missing, someone went to sit there to say that, how can I say such a thing? Provide any book that has been documented about Islam before that first 100 years of Islam. Fabra, ebi niho. I dare challenge anybody, any Islamic scholar. Litaf yakarubutashi 100 years before 100 years by Rasul Babu. There is no book like that. Nobody wrote anything first 100 years after the demise of Prophet Muhammad. So first 100 years of Islam is missing. It's missing. This is the first important point. Now with the language thing, the language you see in the Seerah books, the language you see in the older Seerah books is archaic language. And we are one. And that language you see, the archaic language you see in the Seerah books, that language was not the language Prophet Muhammad and his followers and companions were using. In fact, that language was concocted and fabricated and created and used to write those books. The language, the Arabic language in the first Seerah book is not authentic. Nobody can authenticate the originality of that language that when they were alive, when Prophet Muhammad were alive and the companions, they were speaking that language. And this is the reason why Wokita oldest Seerah book Okin kai wa masalache factory on to me because words the words are archaic. Most of the words in the oldest Seerah books archaic words, and most of Islamic scholars don't understand the words. That is why you can't see them using Seerah, the older Seerah book, in their mosque to preach. They can't use it to preach because the Arabic in those Seerah books are far bigger than their head. They can't comprehend, they can't understand. Something you cannot comprehend, something you cannot understand, how can you explain? You see the point? Ka taba gan wani malami yana karanta siran Ibn Hisham masallaci bai farawa yaren da ke cikin larabcin da ke cikin nan yafi karfin yawancin malaman musulunci ba su iyawa. Cikin Africa malamai nawa ka gani, cikin Ghana to be precise, malamai nawa ka gan sun sa Ibn Hisham masallaci suna karantawa bai iyawa. Yaren nan wani yara da shi. That is the point. So where and when another problem, and sa language no language o ma gada no anthropologists and archaeologists o ma tutu nyama of form no mehu and o ma fix language together and o dey church books. So that was not the reality that they were speaking those languages. And to wrap up, this is what I want to end with. The same problem biom me ka say first Seerah book a friend ni a ochro book no your friend Muhammad bin Ishaq ni Seerah no ni di Seerah wal Maghazi makaya simbi akwa bi ko debate Abraham bi Moshe stubborn for pastor akwa bi ko debate Abraham bi Moshe wo Kofi TV so ne ho kire no or say Muhammad bin Ishaq and Seerah book ni a divine book. Akwa ya bon Muhammad bin Ishaq and Seerah book a divine book. Come on, onupa me know your Muhammad bin Ishaq ni book a divine book. Ka ji da shi kan kakatu ba ko mi ciki. Sai me dia mambo bi adi ujima on why. Or say a divine book. Muhammad bin Ishaq in book in the divine book. Seerah, documentation, the first documentation. Nidia was a Seerah wal Maghazi, which means it is about the biography of Prophet Muhammad and the expeditions and the raiding, Gazu, the act of invading people's land. Or Prophet Muhammad life and our book. The book is popularly known as Al-Maghazi. And the Maghazi that is written after 100 years in Islamic history, Maghazi Baku 9. The books that has Maghazi name, Baku 9. There are 9 of them. All the 9 of the Maghazi, the 9, 7 out of the 9 is missing completely. 9 books of Maghazi is missing completely. 2 na akanon so yenya no complete. Yenya some part of it. Nkakra bi na yenya tie. 9, 7 is missing entirely. 7 ayera completely. 2 na akanon so yenya book na akasa wo ho. Eni ho some part bi na yenya part na yenya no. Eno na Ibn Hisham di churo the second oldest book of biography of Prophet Muhammad. And na part na aka no eno no di actual the 4 volumes of biography of Prophet Muhammad. Boko there. Have you seen how it is getting interesting? Stick to the page. There's a lot coming. I say to you, until we meet again, my lovers, my followers, this is a page of learning. Bye bye.